All right, and we are back. So the variety continues here. We've got Diane Lincoln next. She's a former middle school teacher who loves to write. Her poetry has appeared in dozens of magazines as well as a few Batavia's writers' anthologies. Her self-published collection of poems is entitled Mechanical Bell Sunrises. Diane is also a nonfiction writer who has written online for Live Science and Science News for students. Her book, Science Discovery Files, published by World Scientific, is for middle grade readers. Recognized as promoting social and environmental justice, Science Discovery Files received a Silver Nautilus Book Award in 2023. Currently, Diane is focusing on fiction, and she will read a few of her short stories to you today. So please welcome her to the mic here. Yeah, good?
Yes, okay. Yes. Thank you. I'm really happy to be here tonight for this inaugural event. I'm honored to be here. I'm going to read two short stories, and both of them were inspired by different writing experiences I've had in the Fox Valley. So again, thank you. Thank you to Water Street. Thank you to Catherine Borders and the Republic of Letters. Thank you for all coming out tonight. Okay. The first reading I'm going to read was inspired by a writers group. Some of you may recognize it. The Night Riders. Leaving their everyday lives behind, they park their cars in the cold darkness close to the library. Looking like typical library patrons, each carries a differently styled bag securing this week's work. One by one, they enter the building, shutting out the howling wind. In the bright, warm, quiet library, they shake off the outside world and take the transformative journey past the bookshelves to a conference room, their lair in the back. They call themselves the Night Riders. Once they're seated around a large table, a battered briefcase gets opened. Out of it comes O'Brien, a beat cop who's temporarily working with Detective Pulaski. A woman is hitting O'Brien with a shoe and yelling about police brutality, while Pulaski stands nearby shaking his head. As soon as O'Brien and Pulaski, who is still shaking his head, are back in the briefcase, out of a zippered tote comes a disillusioned high school principal anxious to retire. She's finding it impossible to avoid conflict with Daisy, a new teacher who has progressive ideas. The tote is barely zipped around the dueling duo when a spiral notebook pours out a roller derby queen who dreams of becoming a chef. As she and her jamming and blocking friends roll across the table and then back into the closing notebook, a red dragon flies out of a backpack and over the table. It soars above a stone castle that materializes in front of everyone's eyes and then fades just as quickly back into the backpack, taking the circling dragon with it. From a lady's handbag, an Irish poet who lived during the Troubles emerges. She relays her heart-wrenching tale of love and loss while describing her village, the scent of moss in the fireplaces of a dozen little houses scattered over rolling green meadows. Then, out of the next bag, comes a group of hysterical nuns who, together with some boys playing hockey nearby, inadvertently disrupt a bank robbery. The poor bank robbers didn't stand a chance. The Night Riders, recharged by their camaraderie, are still laughing at the fumbled heist as they bundle up and bid each other adieu. They carry with them roller skaters, nuns, an Irish poet, Daisy and her principal, O'Brien and Pulaski, a hockey team, and magical dragons. The night riders leave the library, superheroes returning to their secret identities. Thank you. Okay. The next one. The next story is called Bananas. And I wrote this piece a few years ago as a competition. And this story earned me a spot on Project Publish, which was aired on Batavia TV. So, Bananas. I used to be a cartoon. It's true. I lived in a perfect and simple world. Everything was predictable. My words were in bubbles, and my entire situation could always be summed up in a frame. Then one day, I don't know how it happened, I came tumbling out of the frame and ended up here. Don't worry, I didn't get hurt. I got up, shook my new movable hair, and dusted off my new rounded out body. I looked at my hands, turning them to see that they now had sides and bottoms. I'm sure this amazement continued for some time. It was an incredibly weird situation. As you can imagine, this experience changed my life, but it's not the event that this story is about. It's just a little background. The new plumped up me seemed to be okay, but all I could think of was how to get this giant, three-dimensional body back into the frame. I was quite certain that I would figure it out eventually. I went about my life in this new place, but couldn't stop thinking about how I could get back to my world. Maybe, I thought, if I made my space in this world perfect and predictable, I could blend right back into the frame, back where I belonged. Each day, I would go about my business, trying to make everything perfect. I made my bed, but as soon as I sat on it to put on my perfectly matched socks, the covers would get wrinkled. I trimmed the lawn, but by the next day, a weed or two would have poked its head up. In the winter, I shoveled the driveway, giving it precise edges, but it would all be ruined as soon as the plow went by. This went on for years. I found it really frustrating. Then one morning, as I was preparing to have a bowl of cereal with bananas, the way I had done hundreds of times before, something strange happened. As I sliced the bananas, trying to get them to come out perfectly coin-shaped, the way they always did in my cartoon life, I realized that in this world, coin-shaped banana slices are simply impossible. Bananas are curved. At first, I got a little angry, but then I decided to relax and have fun with it. I chopped off an edge, then another kind of triangle, then a curved triangle. I cut that banana into all kinds of crazy shapes, sometimes even cutting with the spoon. Then, as I ate my cereal, I marveled as each spoonful revealed another of a myriad of three-dimensional shapes. This was the event that changed my life. It was at that moment, that very moment, that I realized this crazy, unpredictable world is not so bad. I just have to relax and enjoy it and stop trying to make everything perfect. Thank you again, and thank you to all of my Fox Valley writing friends. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Diane. I have to admit, as a former member of the Night Writers group, I was like, okay, can I identify who these people are? So.